Hi yogis, I'm Jess, and I'm here to talk to you about how to set up an at-home meditation and yoga practice, how to set up a space for yourself to be able to practice at home. While we love to see you in person in the studio, we realize that it's not always possible. We're happy that we can offer you plenty of at-home opportunities to have a guided practice, so here are some tips for setting up an at-home space to be able to bring your practice into your house. First, get some gear. You really don't need anything but your own body. So don't get too wrapped up in having the right stuff. But the first thing that I would say to get yourself is a yoga mat. A nice yoga mat, a sticky, grippy mat is really helpful, but really anything goes here. Even a beach towel, if that's all you've got around. But something that you can land on to get your hands and your feet on for your practice. Another thing that I would recommend, maybe the second thing that I would recommend, is a bolster or some sort of prop to prop you up. Now, I don't have a bolster, but I do have plenty of pillows at my house. And so this is just a pillow off of the guest bed in my house. And you can use that kind of in place of a block too, underneath your hips or your shoulders, underneath the back of your head when you're coming into rest. You could also grab a blanket. Blankets and pillows are awesome for your yin practice, but they can also be utilized for your power flow practice too, especially in some of those winding down postures. So go ahead and get those and have them on hand. You might not even realize that you enjoy using them until you pull them in and plug them into your practice. I also use my yoga block all the time. You can pick one of these up at the studio or order them online, but it's a great prop to be able to support you or bring the floor up so that you're feeling supported in your practice. Also, a great thing to sit on for meditation. A strap is an awesome accessory to have during your yoga practice. I don't actually have a yoga strap, but I do have one of my husband's neckties. And so this comes in handy if I need something on the bottoms of my feet to pull myself a little closer. You can really use it in any posture. And if you don't have a necktie or a strap, then you can always use the strap of a purse or a rolled up blanket or sheet. You could use a t-shirt. Get creative with what you've got around the house. If I'm practicing yoga sculpt, then I have my 3-pound weights right here, which come in handy, but you don't need those. You can grab a couple of water bottles or some soup cans, really anything that's got a little bit of weight to it around the house. But I always keep that nearby my yoga mat in case I want to jump into another class, another type of yoga class. The water bottle is important. A lot of times I'll use my water bottle as a prop, so I can use it if I don't have a block or a bolster and I need something to support me. I like to have my water bottle filled up and ready to go so that I don't have to stop in the middle of my practice to leave my space and I can stay really in tune with what I'm doing. The next thing that you need is just a space to practice in. So I'm here at my house in my guest room and I've carved out this space for myself. My mat almost always stays laid out here as a reminder to me to get on it daily. If there's a space in your room that you can't keep a mat laying out the entire time, then I would recommend keeping your mat rolled up in a corner up against a wall like this one over here. So when I have to pull my mat up, I like to keep it visible so that it's always there to remind me to roll it out once in a while and get into my practice. A 7 square foot space is probably the best thing that you can find so that you can extend your mat out. You can reach out your arms and legs on the sides of your mat and have a little bit more space. But if you don't have that much space, if you're a little bit more limited or in a confined space, then that's okay too. Don't worry about having a tiny little space to practice. You can utilize whatever you have. I also like to clear my space of any clutter. So what you can see here is my nice yoga setup with all of the things that I need. And what you can't see, what's not in camera view, is that I've got my guest bed right over here and it's kind of piled up with a bunch of laundry. So sometimes I find that to be a little distracting. I'll try to take care of that stuff before I jump into my practice, but that doesn't always happen. So don't let the distractions around you cause any trouble in your yoga practice. Just roll with it. I also like to set up an altar for myself. So that's what I've got over here. Just a few mementos to really create my space and remind me of why I'm practicing. So I like to light some candles. I've got some crystals and little mementos. You could put family photos here, got some flowers from my yard, just anything that inspires you and gets you excited about coming to your mat, maybe some incense, anything that you'd like to put on there to remind you of coming to your mat. I have a small child running around the house, so it's not realistic for me to leave this out with all of the small things on it. And so I just found this tray. I'll pick it up and put it on a shelf somewhere else, and then I can pull it out pretty easily when it's time to roll into my yoga practice. By no means do I always use this in my yoga practice. Sometimes I only have 10 minutes and there might not be time to light candles. So let your yoga practice just kind of unfold however it needs to on any given day, as long as you show up. Next, find your flow. So it might take you a few attempts to find the style of yoga that works for you. There are on-demand videos that you can find. There are live yoga classes. So try more than one before you just decide that an at-home practice is not for you. It might take a few tries to figure that out. You could always totally just free flow. So get onto your mat. I love to hop onto my mat and just move around. It doesn't have to be around a class or a class time because that doesn't always work for me. If I am flowing with a class, one thing that I really like to have is a small tripod. I think I got it online for like $7. And that's what I put my phone on so that I can see my teacher while he or she is teaching. You could also use your computer, an iPad, a TV screen, if that's the space that you're practicing in, to live stream or watch your on-demand classes. My fourth thing, and most important, is to just get it on your schedule. So the great thing about a home practice is that you're not confined to a set time or a length of class. But that's also maybe the downside of an at-home practice, that there's nothing to sign up for or be accountable to other than yourself. So even if you're not signing up for a class, write it on your schedule that you're going to show up. Maybe wake up 15 minutes earlier every day and put your mat in an accessible place so you can roll right out of bed. Whether it's 15 minutes or 90 minutes, yoga or meditation practice will be really valuable for the rest of your day. So make sure you get it done. So my 4 things: get some gear, choose your space, find your flow, and then get it scheduled. And that's how you set up an at-home yoga practice.